We got Jim in Missouri. Pronouns are he, him, and I don't know. I mean, I tend to agree with what the call screener has, but maybe we'll hear it from Jim. Wants to talk about the resurrection story and how it is a complete fabrication. Now, just to be clear, you're talking about the resurrection, not crucifixion, because I get in conversation, some people will I've done this, will say crucifixion, they mean resurrection or whatever, and so I just want to make sure we're specifically on the resurrection.
Yes, and
okay.
The reason I say it's a fabrication is if you read the Bible, they say they laid Jesus in a tomb. But in reality, if he was crucified, which, let's face it, crucifixion back then was as common capital punishment as lethal injection is today, he would not have been buried in a tomb. He would have been left up on the cross for about a couple days for the buzzards to get him. And then when he was taken down, he would have been thrown into a pit.
Yeah, and that's actually mine. I don't think there was an empty tomb. I don't know what Seth's view was. I don't really know that so this is definitely a godless engineer kind of topic. I'm sure that he'd love to talk about this as well. But I'm not convinced of an empty tomb. I think you wouldn't have Joseph of Arimathea been given some provisional burial rights. It just seems it could be, right. I'll say anything in history, sure, but I want evidence to kind of raise the probability. Speaking of John, by the way, we got his mug behind me being a superhero, so I just want to throw that out there. I agree with you, but I think our crucifixion, our sources for Roman crucifixions are pretty limited. I want to say there's only 2, but this is not my area, so.
Okay, well, maybe I should have called in another week, but again...
Yeah, I was going to say, it might cause all other problems. So.
That's all good, but again, he would have been thrown into a pit or a cave or some sort of mass grave with all the other...
Well, yeah, or left on as part of the humiliation process or, deterrent, yeah.
And somebody, when they say, the Romans didn't find his body... So he must have rose from the dead. It's no, he was being thrown into the mass grave. They would have had to find somebody who was there, who knew what Jesus looked like, and they would have had to go into the pit or cave or whatever. And let's be honest, you've seen one stiff, you've seen them all.
Well, I don't even go this far into the story. I mean, we're bringing a claim of Christ's resurrection out of the same book that has humankind originating from a dirt man and rib woman in an enchanted garden with talking snakes and 900-year-old humans and giants and sea monsters and blood magic and, God impregnating an unwed teenager with himself for the purpose of ritual sacrifice, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I just think I don't even go that far. I'm one of those guys where I think there might have been a dude named Jesus that the supernatural myth was based on. There may not have been. So, I mean, we can make that maybe one of the larger pieces of the counter-apologetics puzzle. He wouldn't have been put in a tomb unless they thought he was something really, really, really special, which is going to be the apologetic you're going to hear. But, at the beginning of the story, I mean, I just, there's no evidence for me. I know Bart Ehrman would disagree, but we don't think we can be convinced there was even a crucifixion of a Christ. We just simply cannot know. You can't quote the book to source the book, to prove the book. But I don't know. It's an interesting angle on the resurrection. Jim, was there anything else?
Well, I kind of want to agree with John a little bit. It was a call I did a couple months ago when I called in. It was with Cross-Examiner and Justin, where I said that I have always compared Jesus to guys like Robin Hood or King Arthur, as they're all legendary characters. Maybe there was a Robin Hood, but what we read about him is probably a legend. When they say he robbed from the rich to give to the poor, for all we know, if there really was a Robin Hood, he may have stole from everybody and kept everything.
Yeah, I mean, I leave a lot of this to my like I have mythicist friends that are really into the Bible, like getting into the weeds, and then like my mythicist friends like John and the people I know on TikTok like Cyber, and I let them go. Like I think I go further than Seth. Did they go further than me? I'm happy to like my thing with it is I like to take a position that I am more convinced by than any other position, and that's kind of the standard view in scholarship that Jesus is a failed apocalyptic preacher. Now, a lot of my motivations for doing that in a conversation with somebody is that if I talk to a Christian and we want to talk about that, I think they're going to put up a wall if I was a mythicist. Like even if I was a mythicist, I would run the same kind of argument that I give, because it's like more agreed upon data. And if you've listened to me on the show, the reason why I take like a position that gods don't exist, or like I'm more inclined, if gun put to the head, to answer that way, is because the way I look at it is the kind of the best way to talk with somebody from my perspective when you kind of get in the weeds with things. If you're like really getting philosophical or whatever, you're really getting into the history. I think it's a good point to just look at like, well, look, the view that I have commits me to a lot less and explains that data. And if I take data points that they don't agree with, it's really hard to help them. They might just build up that wall. So like, for example, when someone brings up the Kalam, I'm happy to accept the second premise of the argument that the universe had a beginning. What I'm not happy to do is accept the first premise that everything that begins to exist has a cause, because the universe could have a beginning such that it doesn't have a cause, right? And so I know that if I took a route of like an infinite regression or something like that, they're just like, that's impossible. And then they'll never give the contradiction. And so that's my kind of motivations for why I do that, at least in the conversations. But I think if you wanted to talk about the mythicist stuff, John and those people are really good to talk to, but I only go so far as well.
Okay, well, I may call back when he's on and talk about this a little bit more, but
I think that'd be good. I think we don't get enough of the mythicist conversation on the show, so I think it would be a good thing.
Okay, yeah, I apologize, but I just
no apologies.
I didn't know you guys were on. Well, I didn't know you guys were going to be on instead of Godless Engineer. But again,
yeah, we're the substandard secondary hosts. We're sorry to disappoint you, but when you return call down the road, I'm sure you'll get the A-listers who can better address your challenge. So thanks for calling, though, Jim. We appreciate you, brother.
You guys are good. You guys are good, man. I'm not trying to be an ass.
Oh, no, I was just having fun with you.
No, you're not.
I'm just having fun with you. It's all good. I received the spirit in which you called, and it's all good fun. Thanks for calling. Appreciate you.